Hi guys, welcome to Rufio, it's Joe here. Just bringing you a cool profile I've been working on. Certainly not necessarily the best version of the deck. I'm not going to come out here and bullshit you. But this deck is, for the most part, budget. There are some pricey cards in here, they can easily be swapped out. But Spyral's loads of fun. It's having a really tough time at the moment. I mean, obviously it got absolutely mullered because it used to be a tier 0 deck. And yeah, I mean, it's comeuppance, I suppose. It was just running right on the format, and they needed to kick it into touch. Unfortunately, it's fallen out of favour a little bit. Things like Colossus really shut the card down. I'm not necessarily sure it's even power creep, but I just think the format's not really suited to it. So I decided to just make a fun, go in second build to just try and blow our opponent out as quickly as possible. It does have the ability to shift into some going first plays if forced to go first. However, generally speaking, we just want to go second, just try and OTK our opponent, and then go take a nice early break before the next round. So, we will get stuck in without going into too much more detail. I won't cover too much more detail, I will justify my choices as I go along, but Spyral's pretty well known by now, and of course I'll pop it up on the screen for you guys to see a slightly clearer view of the card, so you've got a little bit of time to read over it. So, let's get stuck in, shall we? So, we've got triple tough. I think it's pretty much a standard thing to have. I know some people, I see some slightly better players than I, cutting this down or cutting it all together. But I think tough's really important, as is triple super agents. So, of course, usually you're going to rig your opponent's top of their deck, and then you're going to pop a card for free, and you're also going to pop a back row for free as well, get a free special summon, and then go off into your link plays and just go through the whole stupid combos that this deck can do. And that is something to consider, that if you are forced to go first, you can just combo off like crazy, like normal. It's certainly doable, and this deck is super budget friendly, so if you want a deck with just a bit of fun, nice high ceiling, is a bit of a glass cannon, this will be the job for you. We've got one last resort, one master plan, one sleeper. I think these are fine as one-offs. I think most people would agree with these ratios. I've seen some builds run a couple of these. I don't really agree with it. It's just not very necessary. This card's stupid. You just keep getting recycling the effect. It's just absolutely dumb. 3 pluses all over the place. We then move on to our last two of the little boys. These are at 1 for a reason. They're absolutely broken. This just rigging your top of your opponent's deck. This is just 3 pluses. And they are searchable in multiple ways, as you will see as we go through the deck. That comes with the actual Spyral aspect of the deck. So short and sweet. We do have some other spells and traps to go through, but from a monster perspective, that's a pretty standard lineup for most. We then move on to our engines outside of that to make use of this, or certainly the best we can with it. So we've got one Orcus Nightmare. Now, I toyed between this and Ibly. It was a bit of a toss-up. Now, Ibly, I think, has some ability to lock your opponent out, which is quite cool. But traditionally, that's what you would do. But actually, I find that this has some better use altogether. The first thing to think about with Ibly is the fact that it gives your opponent essentially a free way, especially with Salaman Grades going around now, a free way to just link off. You just give them free material, so it's kind of pointless. And this has the added benefit of being level 7. So you can do some level 7, your rank 7 plays going into Dracosac. So using this and one of your Spyral monsters to get there. So that's probably, I think, justification enough to run it. I would certainly stick with that. We've gone with triple Destrudo, mixed rarities, because I'm a little bitch. I only had 2 supers. I only ever ran 2 before, and I only managed to be able to get hold of another rare. So sorry about that, guys. So yeah, triple Destrudo. You want to see these fairly quickly, but you don't want to see multiples. It's kind of, but that's the story with this whole deck. There's a lot of bricks in here, but when it goes off, it goes crazy. But this is just going to help you go into your Mare and your Yazzie plays and break your opponent's board and just game them. So with that in mind, we have the one Mare as well. If you don't know what this does, basically you just get free tokens galore and your opponent shits himself at that point. We then have a small lineup of hand traps. So we've just got triple Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Again, it hits everything at the moment. And the fact that it is also budget friendly is kind of cool for those of you who are looking to build decks on a budget. If that is a concern for you, that's a good card. Unfortunately, to go and outdo that, I've got 2 Phantasme. Now, I do have a third on the way. Unfortunately, I only have access to 2, hence only the 2 are in here. But Phantasme is absolutely broken, especially in a deck that does have a lot of bricking ability. Going second, this will help you shuffle some of them away. Cards that you can maybe search later on and get something you need a bit more. It's just going to help you get through your plays, dig deep, and it's 3 pluses. Cards broken. There's a reason it commands such a high price. We then move on to our spell lineup. So I've just got double Twin Twisters in here. I think 2's absolutely fine. Again, I wanted to try and keep this as close to 40 as possible, or at 40. I believe it is, if I remember off the top of my head. And Twin Twist is just blowing out your opponent's back row when you go in second is really, really important. A third is potentially cloggy. You could argue the case for putting a third in. I think two's worked absolutely fine in my experience so far. All the testing I've done, it's worked out quite nicely. We have one resort because it's only at one, but this card is absolutely fucking dumb. It had to go to one. You can see why if you played the deck. It's just 3 pluses again. You're shuffling stuff back to keep it alive. Yeah, it's broken. You want to see this as quickly as possible. This sets up so many of your good plays. Speaking of which, we are running double terraforming. Again, this isn't at 3. We would be running 3 if possible. You just need to see that result as quickly as possible. That's going to help you get there. Moving on, we have triple Call by the Grave. This deck, if you are forced to go first, is really, really fragile to hand traps. It's one of the main issues that the deck has. It's quite bricky and it's fragile. But when it does go off, it's crazy, and this is just going to help you stay in the game by stopping your opponent's hand traps from going off. Of course, some people have wised up, and they're using like impermanences and that kind of stuff, but this will help you for those who don't have access to that at the time. We are running just the one big red. Again, you want to try and kill your opponent in one turn. Ideally, it's searchable, which is kind of cool, but you can't activate more than one a turn, so it's just fine as it is. One is absolutely perfect, and you don't want multiples because you just end up clogging on them. We then move on to the rest of our one-ofs in terms of our spells. So we've got one Monster Reborn. Again, it's just going to help you. It's just a free extender. It's just free going forward plays. If you can blow up one of your opponent's cards, you can just summon it and go over them, which is nice and cool, especially if they end on something really big. You've got one Foolish Burial. Again, you can just rig your graveyard, dump in the Spyral monsters you need to dump. Maybe dump into Strudo so you can go into those plays. Really, really cool. It's at 1 for a reason. Much the same as Rota, and you've got plenty of targets in the deck. I don't need to really add to that, I'm sure. And then 1 for 1. So, of course, your 2 big targets in this are your 2 Spyral monsters that are level 1. Nice and easy to get into them. Pitching stuff that you want in the grave, which will be covered in a second. What kind of stuff you would want to dump. And, yeah, it just helps you get through your plays. We then move on to our traps. There is a small lineup, just 6 of them. So we run triple Spyral Mission Rescue. Again, you don't really use the effect where you set this and flip it up. I guess you can do if you want to recycle them. I don't really find it comes up very often. More often than not, you're going to want to pitch this to the grave. Because the second effect is not once per turn, you can just keep banishing these and summoning stuff for free. Abusing your nice big girl. And just keep getting those 3 pluses. It's absolutely dumb. And then we just finalise with triple evenly matched. Again, going second, if you find yourself that you've bricked, you've got a way to keep yourself in the game for a little bit longer. And triple evenly matched is a good way to get there. It's also been reprinted, just nice and budget friendly. I think these were picked up for like £8 a piece. If you're familiar with Great British Pounds, that's pretty cheap. We then move on. Again, I haven't done a side deck as usual with these decks. I feel they're very format dependent. A lot of the time you're going to tweak them to maybe your locals that you go to or regional, what's doing particularly well at the time. But we will cover the extra deck. So, we've got double Helix. I think 2 is absolutely fine. I've never really felt the need for 3. 1 is definitely too few though, because you do want to have the option. Again, it's just going to help see through your plays. It's going to help you summon some free stuff and just go absolutely bonkers as usual. We then have 1 Isolde. Again, you run enough warriors that this is just going to give you an option to search some extra bits. Just free searches. Who doesn't like them? We've got 1 Linkaribo and 1 Link Spider. These are for your token plays, which you will get from your Mare, and also you will get from Draco Sack. So this will just give you some extra ways to go. It also means that you can link off your your level 1 Spyral monsters. We then have a Nightmare package, so I'll put all 4 of these, contrary to how we normally do things, on here. This is just going to help you search out that Orcus Nightmare. These are obviously going to turn into this. This will also give you plenty of options to go through your Mare plays, because you do need more than one of these so that you can cycle through correctly. And Unicorn is just good utility along with the rest of these. All really, really cool, really important to the deck. It's a shame that Goblin's dead, because that was a really, really important part of this deck. But we have to make do. We do have Trigate Wizard, True to Form. This card's absolutely busted. It's got some really good effects. Read up on it. I'm not going to go through them all now. But this is just going to help when you make up a nice big link board. It's just going to help protect that board and interrupt your opponent. We do have ourselves a situation where if we come up against things like Altergeist with their infinite fucking interrupts, you want to be able to blow them out. So stuff like Trisbane is going to help you get there. If you set this up on turn 1, you find a way to trigger something in turn 2, maybe that Spiral Trap, you just banish in their turn, summon to this zone and blow out all their back row. We do have one Nightmare Griffin. I left this a bit further down the line. Surprise! So you'll find a way to switch off your opponent's effects, which is just cool. Again, this could be swapped out for a lot of things, but I thought it was quite a cool inclusion. It's come up a few times. Really, really nice when it goes off. We then have one Borrelsword, because Borrelsword wins games. It is an instant win button, guys. You can climb into this in multiple ways, and again, a go in second blowout deck. You just want to be able to get to this as quickly as possible and win the game, because that is exactly what happens when you summon this. We have this for our Mare plays. Well, this searches Mare, effectively. And the good thing about having things like Phantasme is ways to just shuffle it back into deck to mean that you can summon it correctly when needed. Worst case scenario, you can always tribute someone for Mare, but you want to see this Yazzie as another way to get it out, and you get free pop before you do it. And then finally, Dracosac. It's just free tokens, it's free pops, it's free protection of itself, and it's nice and easy to make. You've got Spyral and you've got Orcust Nightmare to go into that. So that is it for the deck, guys. Thank you very much for checking in. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully you'll try this out and have some fun with it. Ideally online. Don't commit to buying any of this stuff. Never trust YouTubers to write your decks. We're all fucking terrible. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Thank you very much for checking in. Big shout out to Mark and Manascrew for giving me the space to record this. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
Well, that's all we have time for in this video. Well done for making it this far, you absolute weirdo. Shout out to you, I suppose. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It'll make me smile, I promise. While you're at it, you should find me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at RufioYT. Don't forget you can find the links in the description. Thanks again for checking in, and I will see you in the next one.